back to your new thesis. So let's go back to Nathan's paper and look at how he writes in a transition sentence that connects back to his new thesis. For example, look at the end of Nathan's paragraph on jocks in paper number 2.
Right now, the paragraph ends, "The jocks are the people who go to college and party until 3 in the morning before an exam. They think this is the coolest thing ever." Now, if we compare this sentence with his new thesis, we see that the sentence at the end of the jock paragraph says nothing about how groups that form in high school function as boundaries and barriers among students in high school.
So let's hear how Nathan's going to connect his paragraph on jocks back to his thesis.
Well, I noticed that there are two major boundaries between jocks and the other kids. One is physical, because to be a jock, you have to be athletically inclined. The second major boundary is behavioral, like the way jocks travel in packs to away games and strut down the halls.
Based on these observations Nathan's made and his new thesis statement, he adds the following sentence at the end of the paragraph on jocks. Remember, all changes we make will be on the insert card labeled paper number 3.
Boundaries created between the jocks and other groups are both physical, dependent on whether one is athletically inclined, and behavioral, dependent on strutting proudly through the halls and traveling in packs to away games. This sentence further defines this high school group and refers back to the thesis. Notice this new sentence uses boundaries in it. This word is also used in Nathan's thesis statement. Using the key word will remind his reader of how this paragraph refers back to his thesis statement.
It's good to pick out a few key words from your thesis statement and continually use them, especially in your transition sentences and your conclusion. In fact, you should set your thesis statement next to your paper towards the end of the writing process and go through and make sure every transition sentence in some way refers back to your thesis. That way, your organization will be clearer to your reader. Nathan would need to go back and do this for his paper.
Earlier, we said some preliminary outlining can help you organize your ideas. Well, outlining after your paper's done can also help make sure your paper's organized well.
You can create a linear outline as we did before. For example, Nathan would have his thesis at the top, followed by the first major group, the popular kids. Then he would divide the different popular kids and make sure he referred back to his thesis at the end of each group.
Another type of outline you can use is a wheel.
The center of the wheel is your thesis. You shoot spokes out of this middle. The ends of the spokes represent the different parts of your supporting paragraphs. For Nathan, each spoke would be a different social group. Then you write your transition sentence along each spoke that shows how this supporting point refers back to your thesis.
Now, you don't have to do a wheel outline, but creating outlines of your paper at the end of the writing process is a good way to make sure your paper's organized. It's just another helpful writing strategy.
Let's go back to Nathan's professor and see what else he has to say.